Appreciate your time joining us once again on an episode of the More People Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Fitzmaurice, joined today by Kieran Duncan-Johal. Kieran, good to have you.
Thank you.
So you're one of our own. You're wearing the gilet.
Correct. Yeah.
One of our own. And prior to joining More People, well, you haven't done anything really, had you?
No, this is my first role. Yeah.
Fresh green graduate.
Yeah. So I think from my point of view, I was quite open in what I could do. And that was from my university degree. I never wanted to shoehorn my way into something specific. So I know a lot of friends who went into accounting, hated it, felt like they were stuck there. So studying international business in Nottingham, modules in accounts, finance, HR, marketing, there was loads of everything. My thought process was, if there was anything I wanted to go into, I had that option too. After kind of studying for 4 years, I did a placement as well out in America. I just thought, I want to get into the workforce. I want to get cracking. And that's how I eventually stumbled into More People through a family friend who had a good relationship with Guy.
I was just about to ask you,
Yeah.
just to remind me what it was that first made you apply. I've just remembered.
Yeah, it was quite a strange one. So it's quite ironic. I was actually working as a gardener technically, now recruiting into the industry, but for a family friend who at the time, this was a good few years ago, I think it was about 2006, they were in conversation with More People, more specifically with Guy, and I sat down at their house just having a conversation about what I could do, and they said, look, we had a great experience with More People, and that's what kind of got me into it. I was thinking, if he still remembers what their business was like after not having a conversation with them for 15, 16 plus years, it's got to be a good place to be, So that's how I eventually got into More People, from that conversation, meeting you and the wider team. I'm still in awe that we have a golf putting green. That's not normal for businesses to have. So no, it's a pleasure to be here and work here every day.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, time has flown.
I know.
It feels like years ago that conversation came about, but it's not been that long, really.
I've been here, so back in 2023 I joined, so been here for a year and a half. I still remember meeting everyone for the first time, and it's just flown by so quick, which is a nice feeling.
Yeah, well, it's testament to how well you fit in. And the role that you're in now, you're specialising more within our horticulture team.
Yes, correct.
So what does your day-to-day actually involve?
Yes, so being on the horticultural / fresh produce side of things, I'm kind of at the start of the supply chain, so working with the hands-on growers, etc. Working in the ornamentals, edible crops, lots to do with fruit more recently, and vines as well, with the growth going on there. So the roles I work on vary completely. I'm working with graduates, people who are just looking to get into the industry, all the way up to directors. So I think that's something as well I've really enjoyed, is having that exposure to working with people from completely beginning their career all the way to being quite cemented into it.
So let's touch upon the YPHA again. So the Young People in Horticulture Association.
Yes.
Of which you're a member?
Correct.
I'm too old.
Yeah, no, you're too old.
They won't let me in. You often are literally wearing the T-shirt. Not today, but you often literally wear the T-shirt. Tell us a bit more about the YPHA.
Absolutely. I think it's a great group. I know quite recently started, Sarah would be the best person to speak to, but it was initially started to get people speaking about the industry. It's almost to give you a bit more of an exposure to what people can do in a day. So it's similar to what they do at the guys at Next Gen. They have lots of farm tours. They get you exposed to people that have been there and done it. So lots of promising conversations for people. I think it makes you ask questions, and you don't feel silly for asking them, because people respect you and are happy to have them honest and open conversations.
And Next Gen, you mentioned there. Tell us a bit more about Next Gen.
It is quite similar in the respect that it's trying to bring up the next generation of people in fruit. So quite closely in what they do. Recently we were at one of their conferences, which was really, really impressive to see what they're doing, how many people are coming together. Again, it was similar to what you would do at the YPHA, but you have an opportunity to understand what's going on in the market, what the challenges they're facing, what's going well. And I think it's just a good time to let people have them honest conversations, just to be speaking about what's going on in the industry.
So the challenge of bringing new young entrants into the sector, whether they are graduates with no prior background, but clearly capable to do so. I know we talk about that at our networking dinners. Our clients seem to have it top of mind as one of their main challenges for how their growth and aging workforces are going to have the succession piece in there.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's great to see that there's multiple initiatives to help and attract young people.
Yeah.
If you were selling it now to your former self or other graduates who perhaps haven't got food, ag, horticulture on their radar, how would you go about selling it and explaining the virtuous careers that are available?
The careers that you think are there, there's probably another 200 plus. With everything going on with technology, there's so much that can be done and you wouldn't even understand. So having more of them conversations with people to understand what's going on. I think a lot of people that go to an agricultural university, they're automatically thinking about livestock / arable. There is a lot of similarities because you can have an arable agronomist, you can have a fruit agronomist. So there's a lot of people that probably don't have the understanding that there is still transferable skills and it's still very much farming if that's what they want. Yeah, I think from a employer's side, just to have them honest conversations, because I think they're almost looking for the end product. You know, they're looking for someone who can join the business and do the job rather than looking for a person who has the capabilities to want to do what they're wanting to do.
And more generally about recruitment, less specifically about horticulture.
Yes, yeah.
Coming into the world of recruitment straight from university, what surprised you most about working in recruitment?
But before I even joined, it sounds bad of me to say, but I didn't see the point of recruiters, which is really bad.
Thanks very much.
But
life's work.
No, it's more for that understanding, or from my knowledge, there was teams internally which would be looking to recruit people. And from now being in the industry, seeing what they have to do on top, these HR people, they've got so many different hats to wear. We make their life easier. We're helping them out rather than working against them. So I think from that point of view, seeing that side of what we can do to a business is really beneficial. And that, you know, more to do with the variety is something I've grown to love. You know, I mentioned with my degree, I always liked variety and didn't want to pinpoint myself to one thing. With recruiting, you can work with so many different businesses. That could be, for myself, it could be with a family-run glasshouse. It could be with an investor who decided to buy a vineyard for fun. So there's just so much variety and no 2 days are the same. I know tomorrow I'm out on a client visit. You know, I've spent a couple of days out in Kent visiting people and seeing what they're doing. So from my point of view, I like that variety and no 2 days are the same.
Just to be clear, because I know how hard you work, you see the
Yeah,
point.
I do now. I do now. I should say that. Yeah. Yeah.
What have been the biggest challenges working in recruitment?
I think there's a lot of communication lags as well. And I think sometimes you can go quiet on a client because you feel like you don't have an update for them. But that's something I'm growing more to know is a non-update is still an update. And that's something we speak about a lot. I think I've been guilty in the past of not communicating it enough to clients. So I think that's something that I've realized is trying to grab people at the right time can be a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I think that's a really shrewd point. And recruitment hasn't necessarily always got the best reputation that precedes it. And obviously we're wanting to do things better and differently in a fairly defined market, where our personal brands, whether it's Kieran's personal brand, Andrew's personal brand, the MorePeople brand is really important to make sure it is synonymous with quality customer service and great knowledge. How do you go about improving your knowledge in the sector or of recruitment?
I think I'm not afraid to ask questions. I think that's...
I know.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the team will know. I think from my point of view, the best way to learn is to ask people who have been there and done it. So for me to improve, I think I have to be a little bit vulnerable. If that's speaking to yourself, people internally and more people, or people I'm working with. If I've got a good enough relationship, I'll ask them the questions just to, like I said, be vulnerable and make sure I'm not looking silly for future conversations. And if there is a bit of information I'm unsure of, asking the right question.
Yeah, we make the point often that, use the room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of experience in the room that you can benefit from learning from. Absolutely. You don't have to make all the mistakes yourselves. You can learn from the mistakes that we've made over a career. And the candidates and the clients tell you far more about the market and the challenges than you
Yep.
can probably ever read or learn from me. What does the landscape of horticulture look like? If you were a betting man, what do you think are going to be the biggest challenges and evolutions to how things work over the next 3 to 5 years?
I do think there's so many things out of people's control, and when I say that, it's more to do with weather. I know I've mentioned about the viticultural side of things. As in the last 5 years, it's grown massively in the UK, but last year, I think sales of wine dropped by 15 million or so, and that was purely due to climate. And that's something in horticulture that is always going to be there. Is you have to be able to quickly adapt to what you're given, and you can't control that all the time. So I think one of the biggest things is being able to just quickly pivot when you need to, and that's mainly focusing on the weather.
I suppose it's a happy unintended consequence of some climate change, that the climate in the UK is warming up.
Yeah.
So things like Nye Timber,
Yes.
and other Kent-based wine producers are making better stuff.
Correct.
So, final question.
Yeah.
Where do you think Kieran's role will go and evolve into at MorePeople over the next 3 to 5 years?
I know there's a lot of exciting things planned, and there's, again, so many variables that have to happen, but obviously want to get things right here in Stamford, the Stamford office, but there's so much potential to open up offices abroad. I know there's conversations that could be had around there. So from my point of view, it would be great to see where I could be in 5 years with MorePeople. That could be in a more senior role here, or it could be in a more senior role in another country. Who knows?
Just so I know, if we had to pick any country in the world, where are we going to?
We'll go to America, Andy. We'll go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheers. Thanks so much.
quite good.